Minister for Parliamentary Affairs Osei Mensah-Bonsu has ordered national security agents to do a clean sweep of his office for any secret recording equipment that may have been planted there. It follows the discovery of a similar device earlier this week in the office of the Lands and Natural Resources Minister John Peter Amewu. Mr. Osei Mensah-Bonsu tells Joy News the development is worrying, but assures the National Security Ministry is working to ensure all government officials are safe.
I have invited experts to come and sweep my place for me, and they're going to do that.
Okay. And this is just something you expect your colleague ministers to do as well in the light of what you've discovered?
The minister in charge of national security is in charge of that.
Okay, but to the extent that we've heard one of your other colleagues, Minister Husseini, admit that this is something that he got into the office just that he didn't disclose its presence to his, the subsequent people who took over after him, Minister Husseini, I mean.
If indeed it is true, why would he not alert the minister following after him? If it's predicated on open conscience, why would he not inform the person who took over from him?
So there could be some malice?
If you think you should title that picture the way I've painted it, it's your own business.
So just is it something Parliament would be interested in probably getting the National Security Minister and other officials to come brief the House on what is being done so that we don't have situations of private conversation of key government officials going out there?
Well, I've already told you that the Minister for National Security is taking some steps in these matters. If it has to be done in a way that you inform him or ensure that ministers also conduct themselves well, is the charge of the Minister for National Security. I don't want to make any comments on that. However, I guess putting one and two together, if, as you are telling me, the former minister is saying that he's claiming responsibility for having done that and yet refusing to tell the successor, your guess may be good as good as mine.
The minority in Parliament is asking the Speaker to cause the House to go on break over what they describe as the lack of government business to transact. This was after the House sat for less than an hour on Tuesday. Ministers who were expected to appear to answer questions couldn't, forcing the Speaker to adjourn sitting. Minority Chief Whip Muntaka Mubarak says government is not ready to work. But the majority leader had this harsh reaction to the minority's concerns. He says they are not focusing on critical issues.
Very worrying. I mean, for those of you who are correspondents here, you will see it. For almost 7 months, ask yourself, what business have we done? Nothing. I mean, you remember the Right to Information Bill, where it got to. Almost everything was said. So even for now, if they don't have bills and other things, they could have brought that one. So that one will be running. Property rights of spouses, the interstate succession law, the, the other laws that were hanged in the last. I thought they could have brought those ones so that at least we'll be doing those ones. We are doing virtually nothing. You see, virtually Speaker begs for statements, for members to bring statements, just to occupy their period. What if we have nothing? If they don't have anything to do for now, they should let Parliament go and rest. Because even if we are not in the chamber and we are paid, it's better than coming. You put all the air conditioners on. The staff are here. We print other paper. You print vote and proceedings, and yet you don't do anything. That is complete waste of public time and resources. Yeah, I know, I mean, in fairness, I know that normally the first 3 months of government comes slowly. But this one is coming too slow. Because 7 months now, and we are doing nothing. We just come, it's because of that, and the renovation, we say, let's start at 12. So that we reduce even the time from the 10 to the 2, to 12 to 2. Even 12 to 2, you can't find business.
Yeah, the renovation you talk about.
And look at the interesting thing. Even papers to lay, other things to do. Minister cannot even find time to come. To the extent that even committee chairperson cannot find time to come and do the business. It is worrying. And I think that all of us should get worried. Because I'm of the view that they shouldn't wait when it is 1 week to rising. Then now they pile everything and expect us to do magic.
I think you are used to these shenanigans, right? I am of the candid opinion that an opposition group, properly so-called, should be responding to issues of merit and substance, not trivialities as they are doing. And I'll suggest to them that very soon they reduce themselves to sheer obstructionists in this country, because they are not addressing matters of merit and substance. There are matters, serious matters, that are being worked on by the Attorney General. The Office of the Special Prosecutor is a serious bill that will soon come before Parliament. In fact, next week is coming. We're going to have to deal with it. The President had signaled for us to have 3 development authorities: the Northern Development Authority, and the Middle Belt Development Authority, and the Coastal Development Authority, to propel his agenda for national development, for equitable national development. Yesterday, in spite of myself, I was in serious turbulence. I had some tummy ailment. But in spite of that, I had to be at a cabinet subcommittee to deal with it. And today, the President is putting finishing touches to it. I should think that before the end of this week, the 3 development authorities bill will be in the House. Even though we're going to have a very limited time available to us between now and August 2nd, we'll have to work extra hard to be able to put to pass those bills, the 3 of them, plus the Office of Special Prosecutor. And I want to believe the Railways Development Authority bill may also come. I don't know whether we'll be able to finish that one, but these 4, I should say, the Office of Special Prosecutor and the 3 zonal development authority bills are going to come. So let them hasten with their criticism. Reality will soon strike.
We're saying with Parliament, the House has summoned Agriculture Minister Dr. Koto Owusu-Afriyie to appear before it on Wednesday to answer an urgent question on what is being done to deal with the fall armyworm invasion of farms. He was scheduled to appear on Tuesday, but Majority Leader Oseche Mensah-Bonsu told MPs he's out of the country. MP for Myong, Mohammed Abdulaziz, has filed an urgent question seeking answers on what government is doing to tackle the outbreak of fall armyworms, which are destroying large hectares of farmland across the country. He tells Joy News farmers are struggling as a result of the invasion, hence the question.
You can understand that farmers, mostly peasant farmers, would go for some credit facility of a sort to go and do an acre or 2 only for this fall armyworm to attack their farms and ravage their farms. You know, they have nowhere to go to. And so I think that the Minister for Agri should come to the floor of Parliament to tell us what remedial actions that they are putting in place to deal with the outbreak of the fall armyworm.
And to the extent that there was even the earlier promise, going back to promises with the fall armyworm invasion, that it was under control back in April when the minister addressed the press conference and indicated the outbreak, and it's gotten so very much out of hand.
And so you just don't tell us that it is under control. You need to give us specifics. What policies, what projects are you putting in place to contain the outbreak of the fall armyworm? And so I'm not satisfied with Minister just telling us that in a press conference that the outbreak of the fall armyworm is under control, because we are talking about farmers across the country. For instance, in my constituency, about some 600, 700 hectares of farmland are affected. And
do you get that sense that it's really under control over the last 4 or 5 months?
Not really. And so that's why I want the minister responsible for food and agriculture to come give us specific actions that his ministry has taken towards resolving the outbreak of the armyworm. And so I'm not satisfied when he says that it's under control. I mean, any other minister would say that any other thing is under control, but to the extent of the control, we want to know. And so I'm looking for a little bit more details than just telling us that the outbreak of the armyworm is under control. But clearly, I'm not too happy with the conduct of government business. 7 months into administration, In fact, I think the Agri Ministry has about 3 deputy ministers.
And then the minister.
And the minister himself, making it 4. There's another minister of state at the presidency, making it about 5 ministers and deputy ministers responsible for the agri sector. And none of them was on the floor to answer just a simple question on the remedial actions taken to resolve the outbreak of the armyworm. I think it doesn't speak well for our governance as a country.
In other news, Vice President Dr. Mahamudu Bawumia has described as deplorable and inhumane conditions in the country's prisons. According to him, the development infringes on the rights of inmates. Inaugurating a 13-member council of the prison service, Dr. Bawumia said government is fashioning out a law to introduce non-custodial sentence to ease congestion and human rights abuses in the country's prisons.
All over the world, prison philosophy is changing. The philosophy is changing from merely being a safe custody of prison inmates to rehabilitation of the offenders. The aim eventually is to reintegrate them back into their societies and to continue to play the roles that we all expect from our compatriots as nation builders and not nation wreckers. Unfortunately, our prison facilities as they exist today cannot really be trusted to offer this very important service and achieve this noble objective of correcting behaviors and attitudes of lawbreakers. Indeed, apart from the Insawam medium security prisons and recently the newly built Ankafo maximum security prison, all other prison facilities in the country are relics of the old fort and castles bequeathed to us from the colonial administration. And this cannot be condoned further as a modern society. It is my hope that under this council and with the support of the government, you shall work hard to earn the record of being the ones to right these wrongs in our prison facilities. I must say that I have followed this extensively, the Justice for All program, and I'm happy that with what it has achieved so far. To advance this further, it is the desire of this government to champion the introduction of non-custodial sentencing law. This will offer many more non-custodial sentence options to our judges so as to avoid the congestion and human rights abuses and all the associated ills that we are currently observing in the prisons.
Dr. Bawumia also announced a government directive for the immediate recruitment of 1,000 personnel for the service. According to him, the recruitment will help Ghana meet international best practice for prisons.
I am also aware of the poor ratio of personnel to inmates in the Ghana prison service. This is one reason why the performance of all of our prison services continue to fall far below the required UN standard. To address this gap, government has requested the prison service to initiate the process of recruitment to increase the personnel level and improve on our services. The Ghana Prison Service has been given approval to recruit 1,000 personnel to meet the international best practice, at least to make progress towards meeting the international best practices in prisons administration.
The Prisons Council exists to offer advice on the running of prison facilities in the country. Chairman of the Council, Reverend Dr. Puni Frimpong, pledged their cooperation.
We hope that we'll be able to give it a new phase, that through the Project Efiase, we'll be able to mobilize resources to supplement whatever effort the government will be giving to us to perform our assignment. We are also aware, and as you mentioned in your address, the need for us to relocate some of our prison facilities from the regional capitals and maybe look for new locations that are very conducive for the reformation of our inmates. Again, the Ghana Prison Service have been very active in agricultural projects. And where we've reached at the moment, there's a need for us to mechanize, what we are doing, and that may call for support and maybe a more integrative approach of going that area, how we get support from our various academic institutions and industry, and even those in marketing, companies who also be accepting the product from the farms or the prison farms. You mentioned overcrowding, and it's an issue that it seems to me the new council must pay much attention to, because we are aware the place of human dignity in the place of your government, His Excellency's own public utterances. We are aware that he paid much attention to issue of human right, human dignity, and we feel the overcrowding issue must be given much attention.
We're taking a break on Joy News Prime, but still ahead, 2016 flag bearer of the People's National Convention, Dr. Edward Mahama's acceptance of an appointment by President Akufo-Addo may have upset his party. He, however, remains unfazed.
My ideology is not PNC or MPP or NDC. My ideology is Ghana.
We'll be getting the party chairman's reaction to the reasons he cited for accepting the appointment. Stay tuned, we're back in a bit. Recently appointed Ambassador-at-Large Dr. Edward Mahama has fought off claims by members of the People's National Convention that he has betrayed the party's trust by accepting a government appointment, insisting such claims are born out of ignorance. The leadership of the PNC, a party Dr. Mahama belongs to, has set to convene an emergency NEC meeting to determine his fate. Dr. Edward Mahama, who was sworn in on Monday by President Nana Akufo-Addo as Ambassador-at-Large, explains to Joy News' Joseph Akable he accepted the offer due to his love for the country.
My ideology is Ghana. My ideology is not PNC or MPP or NDC. My ideology is Ghana, which means whatever will move Ghana forward, that's what I will do. That's why I left my lucrative practice in the United States to come back to Ghana, to offer my service to the nation that I was put in by God. I didn't choose to be born in Ghana. I was born in Ghana, which means God wants me to do something for this nation. And so in all these areas, I'm working for God. Well, some elements in the party were obviously in the know and encouraged me to go ahead with it. Others were not. But the proper thing, because, you know, when the president was forming his government, appointing people, names were bundled here and there. I waited for the confirmation. So I'm now going to call a meeting of the standing committee of the party, that's the day-to-day administrative body of the party, and inform them of what the offer is and what I'm going to be doing and how it may or may not impact on the party. If we were going to do a party-to-party alliance, then of course the party would have been involved in formulating its position vis-a-vis the MPP administration or manifesto. But this is not a party-to-party alliance. This is the president looking at me as an individual and saying, I want you to do some things for Ghana on my watch as president. I'm sure anybody called upon by the sitting president to do anything for Ghana, he didn't say, come and work for MPP. He said, come and be an ambassador of Ghana. I think it's an honor, and I thank him very much.
So for those who are pushing for some sanctions for just joining the NPP in government, in quotes, what do you have to say to them?
First, they misunderstand the role that I'm going to play. Secondly, I will give them the chance and appear at the meeting that we will do. And after I have told the meeting what the position is, and they have had the chance to deliberate, I'm sure that I'll be vindicated.
Right, so I've been joined in the studio by the party's chairman, Bernard Mona, and he's going to be telling us why they're not too excited about the acceptance of this appointment from President Akufo-Addo. Thank you very much for making time to join us on Joy News Prime, Mr. Mona. Now, what is the party unhappy about regarding this appointment?
First, let me thank you for the off-camera assistance that you offered me. I'm sure people want to find out later.
It stays off camera.
Off camera, but thank you. You know, first and foremost, I've just listened to Dr. Edward Mahama, and more than before, I feel very weak. I feel that as a party, we have been unfair to Malam Issa. We have been unfair to Thomas Atiga, former regional secretary of PNC Ashanti region. We have been unfair to Abbas Mahmoud, former Greater Accra chairman. We have been unfair to Dominic Nitiwul.
Why do you cite these people?
Just give me 1 second. We have been unfair to Ambrose Derry, Professor Kasim Kasang, and even to Moses Daniba and others for the scathing attacks that we were inspired to put on them by Edward Mahama because they had gone to serve our nation. And Edward Mahama said that those appointments should have been routed through the PNC. Indeed, for Malam Issa, he accepted to become Minister for Youth and Sports. And the reason why he was sacked is that the party disowned him, is that because he went to accept the appointment without the party acceptance or information about it. Let me give you instances. Dr. Mahama had told us that President Rawlings had called on him to come and serve Ghana under his watch. He declined because that appointment is not coming through the party. President Kufuor, then in opposition in 2000, offered Dr. Edward Mahama the chance to become vice president of this country. And he has said this repeatedly, that he refused to serve that honorable position because President Kufuor did not route it through the party structures.
Right.
And
the appointments are different, aren't they?
No, and then when President Kufuor won the elections in the year 2001, he offered Dr. Edward Mahama in his individual capacity to become Minister for Health. President Kufuor was not allowed to mature that because he was appointing him as an individual. He refused. Right. Today,
I'm saying
Edward
that the
scenarios is justifying.
The scenarios are different
because now he's at
you're talking. No, yes, because you're talking about a cabinet position. Here, in this case, you're talking about an ambassadorial position. It's more honorable.
Was the Minister for Youth and Sports an ambassadorial appointment?
It wasn't.
So why did we sack Malam Issa?
Again,
why did we sack Ashanti Regional Secretary of the party upon the promptings of Dr. Edward Mahama? Because he, in the by-elections, in the year, remember the by-elections that brought Mutanka, had gone to declare support for the NPP candidate because Atiga contested in the main elections. And so when the PNC supported the NPP in the runoff, he said that, look, by that support, we should still support the NPP in the by-elections. And then, what happened? Edward Mahama made us to dismiss him. I'm saying this, you know, that look, Edward Mahama has told all of us that at any point in time, if you are going to accept appointment to serve a government, let the party leadership know.
Okay.
Unfortunately, in this particular instance, I woke up to be boomeranged by the media that, oh, your flag bearer has been appointed at large. Then I said, what do you mean by at large? They said ambassador at large. I said, at large in English means that something that is being sorted for. Then, you know, I didn't get it. I said, I know Roman ambassador, I know ambassador, what is the other term? Extraordinary that President Kufuor conferred on Abedi Pele, and the other English word that they
right,
use.
Mr. Mona,
but the point is this. If we were informed about it, and then the media came and they were speaking, I would say, look, Edward Mahama informed us. Even if we didn't agree that he should accept it, but the party would not be in a position to say that we were not informed. We were totally oblivious of this.
Has the party met on this matter?
It just boomeranged last night and today. So I've called the General Secretary to assemble a meeting, which will involve all the regions to come to Accra so that we can look at this matter.
So that your position, or what has been said so far about this appointment, happens to be your position?
Yes.
So it is just your position, it's not the party's position?
The party has not taken any position. I have said that, given Edward Mahama's own record and reputation for us castigating other members of our party, and the word that he has always used is that these people are poached from us, and that when they go, they don't come back to the party. Today, Israel, if the party decided we are going to take a position on the poaching of our members by the NPP and NDC, and we want Edward Mahama to sign the that position as leader of the PNC, is he in a position to sign that and say that we are criticizing the NDC and MPP because he's serving under the MPP government? For him to come and say that what we're saying is out of ignorance and that he's going to serve Ghana. To serve under Rawlings was not to serve Togo.
Okay.
To serve under Kufuor, even as Vice President or Minister for Health, was not to serve Burkina Faso.
You've made it clear this evening that whatever position you're advancing happens to be your personal position because the party hasn't met on it.
The party
Are you
will
not preempting what the party is going to say regarding this acceptance?
I should have a position because, let me say that I've been bamboozled into accepting a certain position by the leader of the party.
So it could be that the party will meet and they may not have anything
I'm
wrong.
saying that, look, it's possible that if the party had met, yesterday when he was going for this receiving of his instrument of office, maybe, like the treasurer told me in camera, would have all accompanied him to give him that ura that would accompany his office. But unfortunately, I started fighting some colleagues of yours in the media, telling them that, oh, you are telling lies, it's not true, only for them to start playing the voice of Edward Mama, who was
when does the party intend to meet over this?
I'm sure next week, so that we can give our regions time to be able to convene in Accra.
All right, thank you very much, Bernard Mona. Bernard Mona is the chairman of the People's National Convention. We've been speaking to him about the leader of the party's decision to accept this appointment by President Akufo-Addo. We're taking a break here on Joy News Prime. We will bring you more news after we bring you business news. Please stay tuned.
Hello, good evening to you and welcome to Business. Now, news just in says the National Tripartite Committee, NTC, has concluded negotiations on the determination of the 2018 National Daily Minimum Wage at its meeting held on Tuesday. Now, the committee agreed that the National Daily Minimum Wage be increased by 10%, that is from 8 Ghana cedis 80 pesos to 9 Ghana cedis 68 pesos. The effective date for the implementation of the 2018 National Daily Minimum Wage is the 1st of January 2018. According to the committee, any establishment, institution or organization whose daily minimum wage is below the new National Daily Minimum Wage should adjust its wages upward with effect from 1st of January 2018. Any establishment, institution or organization that flouts this regulation will be sanctioned in accordance with the law. Away from that, Cocoa Board says it will engage the private sector in its fertilizer distribution agenda to ensure more efficient handling of the products. Board Chairman of Cocoa Board, Hackman Owusu-Agyemang, made this statement in a speech at the West Africa Agri-Business Conference 2017 in Accra.
When you come to Cocoa Board used to purchase fertilizers and other agrochemicals annually for farmers to boost cocoa production. This program has been reviewed under the new cocoa agenda as Cocoa Board looks to set up support which is equitable distribution of the input to ensure increased efficiency in input distribution. Cocoa Board has put structures in place to streamline farmers' access to fertilizer through private participation and granting of subsidy to farmers. To this end, government is supporting Cocoa Board to deepen private sector involvement in the supply and distribution of agrochemicals, including fertilizers used on cocoa.
Meanwhile, some stakeholders also say government must improve upon infrastructure development to help drive down the cost of fertilizers. Isaac Kwadwasari is the country manager of African Fertilizer and Agribusiness Partnership.
When you come to Ghana, there are lots of things that we can do to let the prices come down. One is the port. What's the infrastructure there? How many days does it take for the importer to clear? And the road network is very poor. If you take fertilizer from Tema to Tamale, it can take you 3 days or more.
And every bag you pay not less than 5 cedis per bag. So it adds up to the cost. So if you're able to get railway, as the minister said today, railway from Tema Port straight to Tamale, one day or just about 2 hours, we get the fertilizer in Tamale. Then that we are doing business. But if we don't provide the right infrastructure, then the prices will continue to go up because it also ties in the oil price. Because the transporter has to buy fuel from Accra or Tema to Tamale or to wherever the fertilizer is going. So we need good infrastructure. We need good roads to get the fertilizer to the farmers.
Acting Population Census Coordinator at the Ghana Statistical Service, David Combat, is urging governments to pair infrastructure development with population control measures to help better the economy. He was sharing his thoughts on 2017 World Population Day, marked on Tuesday under the theme Family Planning, Empowering People, Developing Nations. Joy Business explores the effects of Ghana's population growth rate on the economy. Kuku Apia reports.
The world's population was only 400 million in 1000 AD, but reached 1 billion in 1804 and then 3 billion by 1960. It only took 40 years by 2000 for the population to double to 6 billion, and since then it has grown to a whopping 7.8 billion in 2017. By 2100, the population is projected to grow to 11.2 billion, with 50% of the growth taking place in Africa. The world estimated 83 million people to its population annually. Although since the 1960s, fertility rates have considerably dropped around the world, Africa remains one of the fastest growing populations in the world. In Ghana, since the 1960s, our population has grown a whopping 5 times over, from 6.7 million to 27.8 million in 2017. So what effect does that have on our economy and our infrastructure?
The larger population would have been an asset for us. We will be able to sell most of the things we produce here. But at the same time, if you have a large population and you are not producing much to sell, like our country that so much depends on importation of so many things, then that large population will not necessarily be an asset.
About 52% of the world's population is under 30 years old, and Africa has the youngest population in the world. So what does this mean for developing African countries like Ghana? Acting Population Census Coordinator at the Ghana Statistical Service, David Combat, explains.
The dependency ratio is high. And by dependency ratio, I mean the number of people who have to work to take care of others. It's about 76%. It means that for every one person who have to take care of about 70.76 persons. That's about 1 to 1. So you as a worker, it means your income, your salary, you have to spend it with another person. And that is the concern. The infrastructure, yes, you can see we have challenges now, especially with our youth. You can see demonstrations here and there of skilled people who have finished the universities, polytechnics, nursing colleges, teacher training colleges, veterinary technicians, all clamoring to get jobs. And so that has been the issue. And so we need to expand.
So what can government do to meet the needs of the expanding population?
Government has to do more in terms of generating resources. There are many people that are involved in all kinds of economic activities that are not paying, for example, taxes to the government. So government can make an effort to get a lot of revenue from, for example, bringing more and more workers into especially those in the informal sector, into the tax bracket, so that we'll be able to generate enough resources to be able to provide the infrastructure.
David Combat again explains why it is important to pair infrastructural provision with population control measures for a better economy.
So it means for an area to go out of, a person to go out of poverty, you need to manage your household size, your family size. And so it is, as we said, it's important that we look at our population growth.
with population growth projections showing that countries like neighboring Nigeria will surpass countries like the USA in population growth by the year 2050, it becomes imperative that developing countries like Ghana look at options of population growth control and infrastructural development. Reporting for Joy Business, this is Kukwa Apia.
Now, Minister for Railway Development Joe Gatti has hinted government is likely to choose a local contractor for the construction of the Kumasi to Paga railway line. This, according to him, is to indicate government's commitment to strengthening local content in the construction industry. About 215 companies have so far expressed interest in the almost 600-kilometer project, out of which about 50 are local contractors. Mr. Gatti tells Joy Business government is doing everything possible to ensure maximum local participation in all other projects across the country.
Government's decision to construct the almost 600-kilometer railway line is to enhance transportation of agricultural produce within the central line. According to the Minister of Railway Development, Joe Gatti, the $3.3 billion project will be delivered by a local contractor as a way of deepening domestic employment for the people. The project is going to be fully government funded. About 217 companies have so far expressed interest in the project, out of which about 50 are local contractors. Joe Gatti tells Joy Business government is doing everything possible to ensure maximum local participation in all other rail projects across the country.
Through a process, a transparent process of choosing, I don't think that it will be proper to mention the companies. But what I can tell you for sure is that it is not only foreign companies that have expressed interest, Ghanaian companies have expressed interest. Some of them have expressed interest by themselves. Others are working with foreign counterparts. And so out of the 217 proposals we have in all, about 80 of them are Ghanaian companies, either by themselves or together with foreigners. And that gladdens my heart, that Ghanaians are also responding to the call that we have for us to get more involved in our economy.
Okay, you seem to be frustrated a bit about the procurement process, and you were talking to the CEO over there. I mean, I want to ask you, are you going to do sole sourcing, or is it going to be through the electronic procurement process system that they are bringing on board?
I'm not frustrated at all. The law cannot frustrate me, and whatever method we are going to use is a method that will be approved by cabinet. This is a serious investment, over about $7.8 billion on the low side, and it can go higher depending on what you want to attach and add on. So it's not something that I, Joe Gatti, will stand here and tell you that we are going to use this method. I'm going to give proposals to cabinet, and the cabinet will instruct me that use A or use B.
That's all in business for tonight. Many thanks for your company. My name is Emmanuel Abuaji. Thanks for watching. For more business news, log on to myjoyonline.com/business. Have a good evening.
Welcome back to Joy News Prime. Chairman of the Tamils 2004-2008 campaigns, Roger Metonunu, says healing for the opposition National Democratic Congress lies in rebranding and a new vision geared towards inclusivity. The former campaign manager will not bet on any of the known and speculative flagra hopefuls, but is optimistic of a transparent Congress and availability of equal opportunities. He has been speaking with Gifty Andwapia.
Politics is a game of numbers. So if we can heal and bring everybody on board, have a manifesto and a vision that is relevant, not for 2012 or 2008, but a vision that is relevant for 2020, based on all the things that have happened and new suggestions and answers for the questions of 2020. And a major paradigm shift. Well, people are hurt. Some of them are not party members. But they believe that there were some people who were their family members who have not been treated well. I mean, we have a founder, we have co-founding members. Some people have served the party, they've retired. How often do we visit them? How often do we find out how they are? And if we really genuinely care about our members and we go out, reach out to them, and we do not make them feel that we just use them as a springboard to other levels of economic well-being, that is a healing process.
Roger Metul-Nunu has also been touting late President Mills's contribution to the country whilst criticizing President Akufo-Addo for making trips meant for his foreign affairs minister rather than paying attention to key developments in the country.
They said he was a Mr. Doolittle, but all the projects that NDC has brought to fruition are things that the late president initiated, endorsed, approved through cabinet, and these things have a project cycle of implementation. All the things we're talking about. I mean, you talk about the rehabilitation of the 37 military hospital. I remember in 2000, I made a trip with the president to China. The rehabilitation of the the 37 military hospital was part of it. The expansion of residential facilities for the security agencies was part of it. The provision of agricultural machinery inputs for small and medium agricultural institutions were things that the late President Mills initiated. Okay. The 15 billion Chinese facility is part of the package.
You mean the recent one that the
Yes,
Vice
it's
President
part of the
Baumia?
discussions that the late Professor Ivan Sato Mills initiated. I think the president is still thinking he's a foreign minister.
Why do you say so?
There are a lot of trips that he's undertaken so far, some of which I think the foreign minister should have undertaken. Where there are platforms for heads of states, I don't have a problem with him attending those, but I think to a very large extent, the governance challenges of the first 6 months have not been sufficiently addressed. I mean, many boards and councils are not in place. If these are very strategic institutions of government, it's totally unacceptable that the universities and the polytechnics and
Now, popular Ghanaian actor John Dumelo has rejected reports he tried to steal a state vehicle. The actor, who joined the campaign of then President Mahama, was in March this year accused of driving without approval a government vehicle, a Toyota Land Cruiser, which was eventually retrieved at a workshop reportedly about to be resprayed. Speaking on the matter for the first time on Joy FM's Cosmopolitan Mix, Mr. Dumelo said he never attempted to keep the vehicle. He told Doreen Ando he bought the car from someone but did not know at the time whether it was a government vehicle or not.
I would never keep a government car. Number one, I'm not a government official, so I would never keep a government car.
But was the car a government car?
You see, I bought the car from somebody.
Okay.
I bought it.
Right.
So at that point, I wouldn't say it's a government car, it's not a government car.
Right.
So some people came and they say, hey,
It's the
government car that I have. I said, okay, fine, it's a government car. Keep the government car. I mean, it's... What is a car?
Right. Did you get back to the person you bought it from to ask about the details just so that you wouldn't look bad or something like that?
Oh, yeah, I mean, me and the guy, we dealt with it. And, you know, I mean, after that happened, I just bought a new car. The truth of the matter is that this car saga is something that, when it happened, I was like, it's something that has happened, you know what I mean? And, okay, so if somebody's saying it is theirs, they should just keep it. They should just take it. It's look, Doreen.
So yes.
Doreen. In 2010, I bought a car.
Right.
I bought a car in 2010. 2011, I bought another car. 13, another one. In 15, I bought another one. So it's something that I can afford, you know. So when this thing happened, I was like, you know what? Let them take it. Because, of course, they were going around doing, hey, we'll seize your car, hey. And then when they check the papers, they realize that, Charlie, okay, it's not for you. Okay, hey, let's go investigate. Let it go. It's a car. You can have an accident, God forbid, tomorrow, and then you can have a car. You can have an accident, and then the car is damaged, or you know, whatever it is, you know. So after all that thing happened, I was like, you know what, to hell with it. I bought myself a new car, and then, you know, and then I moved on.
So
I mean,
Mr. Dumelo also disclosed that he is under pressure to contest the position of National Youth Organizer of the opposition National Democratic Congress.
Doreen, can he ask John Dumelo if he's interested in running for any official NDC-GH part executive position? Question 9. I mean, it's a yes and no. Is it yes or is it no?
Well, at the moment, well, you know, nobody, I don't think the party has opened nominations for anybody to contest.
Right.
Everybody is, what people are saying, what people are speculating,
Right.
you know, so as for that one, I'm keeping it to my chest.
Well, so should in case perhaps.
Nevertheless.
Nevertheless, even though before they open. Yes.
Well, I don't know about that.
Oh, well, do I have a strong feeling that you will?
Do you want me to have a strong feeling? Or
Well,
do you want to
I
have
would
a strong
love for you
feeling?
to have that strong feeling, since I'm having that strong feeling that you have the strong
Well,
feeling.
then let's hope that the strong feeling both of us have will be stronger when the feeling is strong.
I got my answer right there.
Amen.
Good. John, is it true that you want to contest for the youth leader of NDC, and that's Ameyao in Kumasi?
That's the National Youth Organizer. Well, yeah, I mean, honestly speaking, a lot of, I've been getting a lot of calls, you know, from the grassroots NDC guys that, you know, they want me to stand, you know, but like I said, I think it's too early.
Yes, but you still have the strong feeling. I like strong feelings.
Feeling it
yeah,
deep.
they like.
Now, one more person involved in the Ifiakobi Nursing Training College motor accident has died. It brings to 2 the number of lives lost to the tragedy. The latest fatality, Paulina Broja, had been in coma at the Konfanochi Teaching Hospital in Kumasi since last week's accident. Her death was reported as a deceased colleague, Christiana Sare, was laid to rest on Tuesday, while him Interior reports.
Hundreds of mourners joined the bereaved family at Kokode to bid farewell to the deceased nurse trainee. Bosomche District Chief Executive Joseph Asumin joined the mourners as mourners filed past the body of Christiana. Once a Sunday school teacher, they could not control their emotions. A short sermon at the burial service reminded mourners of God's plan for each and every one. Then came the time to bid farewell to loved ones. Men and women wailed uncontrollably as they watched the casket lowered into the grave. President of the Musicians Union of Ghana, Vice Osekufo, also known as Obo, is Les Christiana's uncle. He spoke to Joy News.
Actually, she was named after my mom, so she's very dear to me.
Wow. And how does this feel to lose a niece at this crucial point in time through this tragic way?
I mean, we all understand that everybody will die, and the word of God says it, that you know, everybody will die. But of course, the circumstances around which one dies sometimes cause for a bit more sorrow, you know, because very, very tragic. Just 4 months ago, I spoke with her dad, you know, she had always wanted to be a nurse, so we managed to get her admission into the nursing training college, and just 4 months in the school. I mean, I had spoken to the father. We didn't even know they were even going on any excursion, only to get news that they had an accident and she was the only one who passed. And it's a very sad moment, but again, we are a Christian family. We believe in God, and we believe that when the dead dies and he dies in Christ, the person dies and there's a reward after death.
The Gender Ministry is seeking cabinet approval to enroll onto the Livelihood Empowerment Against Poverty Program LEAP families that could be vulnerable to human trafficking. The move, according to the Sector Minister Atiku Fisa-Jaba, should hopefully give such poverty-stricken families a reason not to sell off their young ones to traffickers. This was announced at the launch of the UN Day Against Human Trafficking in Accra.
Government has already budgeted an amount of 1.5 million cedis for the Human Trafficking Secretariat under the Ministry of Gender, Children and Social Protection to support the fight against human trafficking and to protect victims. The Gender Ministry says poverty has been identified as the major root cause of trafficking, hence the need for government to support families to discourage them from selling off their children at a pittance for exploitation. Through the Interministerial Task Force, the ministry has rescued about 55 children who are currently being rehabilitated at secured shelters.
55 children were rescued and are being rehabilitated at secured shelters. 27 suspects were also arrested and going through the prosecution processes. There was another rescue by the police and the ministry in Elmina in the central region, where 2 women and 7 children were rescued. They are all in care. So far, there have been 2 convictions of trafficking, one in Ho and one in Accra. 8 cases are also under investigation. The Ministry of Gender, Children and Social Protection will seek cabinet approval to include human trafficked victims or their carers on the leap to further address poverty reductions in families where the prevalence of human trafficking is high.
The Gender Minister Otiku Afisa Jaba says the Labour Ministry has been charged to review the current migration law to meet trending challenges such as human trafficking. The Labour Ministry is also expected to set up labour centres that will serve as recruitment centres for job seekers.
And we have agreed that the Ministry of Employment and Labour, which looks at all labour issues, will review the migration law to suit current times and to ensure that if people who travel out, how do we work with them in relation to the Ministry of Foreign Affairs so that we have a record of them, that they are out and Ghana is aware of them and the embassies outside are aware of them, so that they don't get lost and they don't get into trouble and don't know where to go, or we don't know where they are. So those public labor centers are going to be instituted to ensure that we capture people who want employment in the country and people who want employment outside the country to eliminate the unscrupulous agents.
Meanwhile, Director in charge of operations at the Ghana Immigration Service has been outlining what it has been doing to curb the menace. The Ghana Immigration Service has so far rescued about 46 females through their rescue operations.
Between May to date, the GIS has arrested 146 or rescued 146 females aged between 17 and 37 at various locations between Accra, Aflao, Nive, Akano, and Sugakope. And most of these victims have already been reconciled and united to their families. The suspects, some of them are at various stages in the law courts.
The ministry believes the measures being put in place will move Ghana from being ranked in 2016 in the Tier 2 watch list and move Ghana to Tier 1 in 2017.
The Pantang Psychiatric Hospital may not only be battling encroachers over its land. It turns out there's another constraint involving getting resources to finance its operations. Apparently, the hospital has not received any funding from government in the past 3 years. Acting Medical Director Frank Benning told Joy FM Super Morning Show the hospital is not sure how it will fund its operations this year, as nothing has come through from government regarding an 8 million cedi budget presented this year. He's been speaking with Joy News' Maxwell Agbagba about the financial constraints.
We have a major challenge with financing mental health care. And the issue is that the law says the service is free. But then the even bigger challenge is the fact that we have close to 100 people who are with us all the time. And they become a burden for us more or less, in the sense that we have to feed them 3 times a day. We need to take care of the environment. We need to buy medicines for them. And if they have physical health problems, we need to send them to Ridge or Kolebu, and we have to, a hospital has to pay for.
How much debt are you saddled with right now?
Just over 3 million Ghana cedis.
3 million Ghana cedis. That's a period of, are you able to tell us the period?
I think late 2013.
Okay.
Late 2013. I must say that it was more than that. But in 2016, the ministry gave us about 1 million cedis to offset some of the debt. That's how come it's come down to over 3.
We are also hearing that you submitted a budget of 8 million Ghana cedis to the ministry, actually, and you got just 100,000 Ghana cedis after the budget.
Well, the ceiling for goods and services is 133,000 Ghana cedis, and even then, we haven't received it yet.
How much did you submit as a budget?
Something in the range of, and that's a tricky question as well. Okay, you do your real budget, and you're looking at maybe something over 8 million, and you take it back and you say, no, you need to draw a budget to fit into your IGF, that is your internal generated fund. Okay, so if I'm able to generate 2 million, it means all my operations must fit into the 2 million. I am appealing to my staff to go back to work, and I'm doing everything I can.
Thousands of students continue to learn under very dreadful conditions in several schools across the country. On today's Joy News agenda, we take a trip to Diskov in the Ahanta West District of the Western Region, where pupils study under very appalling conditions. Here's a report by Natalia Kwanzaa.
The lives of pupils and teachers of Diskov Methodist School at Upper Diskov, a fishing community in the Ahanta West District of the Western Region, are under serious threat as academic work is conducted in an old dilapidated building. Diskov Methodist School, built in 1936, some 81 years ago by the Methodist missionary and later taken over by the government, has since not seen any infrastructural development, although the school has produced notable personalities in this country. The head teacher of Diskov Methodist Junior High School, Alex Ishen, tells Joy News the JHS block has outlived its purpose as their lives are in danger because the very structures under which classes are held has part of the roofing ripped off by rainstorm and pillars destroyed.
You can see that the building is so weak. In fact, if you look at the building, it is not a place for children to stay in. It was 2012, and there was a heavy rainstorm that ripped off the roof of the Form 1A and B classroom, and therefore the children cannot stay in. You have to create the primary head. Then she gave us one classroom, then you combine the A and B at the same classroom, and then shifted his members to other class. Then again, to look at the one that you're using now, the Form 2 and Form 3, there has been a leakage. When the rain starts, you cannot do anything. Teachers have been complaining. I've also observed it. In fact, we have also been complaining, but nothing has been done for it. I was a teacher here, and I was appointed to head the school in 2013. We had said the problem, have been asking people to come to our aid, but nothing has been done to it. Let's look at the pillars. You can even testify, as you are looking at the video, you can even testify that some of the pillars are hanging. Some of the pillars too have been taken away by the rain. Some of the pillars too, you see, when you touch it, it's rather shake. So, in fact, you have a lot of problems in our school. Now that you're in the rainy season, when the rain starts, you have to gather ourselves and then pack our things away.
One of the teachers, Sophia Atakoni, says she is contemplating a transfer because of the poor conditions at the school.
Most of the children are not ready to learn because of the state of the school. Anytime it rains, they are just afraid to stay in the class because the building is in a serious state. The building is about to collapse. All our pillars have went off. You can see some of the pillars, it is halfway, and you can see the iron rust in it. It has broken, and then the iron rod is showing in the pillars. Especially for our Form 1 class, we have to move them to the pieces. We have to join them with the pieces people because the roof has just gone out.
Students also say conditions at the school is having adverse effect on their academic work, and they pray governments and stakeholders to come to their aid in order to avoid a disaster.
Right, that's it for the bulletin. My name is Israel. Have a good night.
This is Joy News Prime.